Ready, set. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who knows what the world will send, what lies beyond the river's bend, where the winding road will end. On this man you can depend. If I said so, I'll be your friend. And I sing my song of life each day. Skies recently, oh, they're gray. You can sing along, but it's not okay. Just find a place to laugh and pray, or meditate, or do what it is you do. And seek some peace and joy. Seek some peace and joy. Come what may. Hey, this is Peace and Joy 505, the podcast. I'm your host, Jim Whalen, and you're not. And we are still in the pandemic period, so this is another toilet paper monologue. I believe number 8, could be number 9. Sometimes you lose track of toilet paper. However, we're still in that theme, and today we're going to talk a little bit about moving, traveling. I just spent a little bit of time. I went on a train during the pandemic. Everything was fine. Service was great. Protocols were followed. In fact, pretty relaxing. But that was a train, and I'm wondering how things are on the plane because people are condensed in a plane. Always before, there seemed to be an increased chance of getting sick. And I wondered why they didn't, offer masks on the plane or earplugs for babies crying, those sorts of things. They do have safety announcements on the plane, which I always think is kind of good, and then I think about them logically, and they're a bit humorous because someone stands up and says, here are the nearest exits. Okay, if your plane hits the ground, there's going to be exits all over. Upside down behind you, there's going to be exits on fire. There's going to be, there's going to be holes everywhere. And while the floor is going to light up, maybe it won't. It's at the most reliable system on the plane. And then there's such thing as a water landing. What an oxymoron. Doesn't landing infer there's land? So a water landing means there's a water watering. And I've always been really interested in, like, they show the picture of somebody with the inflatable thing, that life jacket, floating not very far from the plane. And I've seen these drawings that had people in the water with smiles on their face. I guarantee you that if your plane crashed in the water and you're floating in the water, you're not going to have a smile on your face like this was like Splash Mountain at Disney World or something. This is not going to be a smiling event. Plus, if you have a water landing, your luggage is pretty much gone, right? And even though, generally speaking, about 7 pieces of luggage get lost for every 1,000 pieces of luggage, right? That means a couple of pieces get lost on every other flight. Like, there's about 200 people on each flight. So, like, in every 5 flights, there's going to be 7 pieces gone. So 1.2 pieces are going to get lost or something like that every flight. So, I think one passenger should just pack an old crappy suitcase and put on there in big bold letters, "Please lose this." And that way, we could, make the other luggage safe. Other things about air travel that are sort of, we don't understand, but are part of the usual, that are interesting to me. People get upset about air travel, and I can't remember the comedian's name, but they made this good point. Air travel is like magic. 200 years ago, if you told somebody you're going to put me in a metal tube, right, and strap on a motor, and you're going to be flying through the air at 500 miles an hour, and there's going to be 7,000 of these things in the air across this country at any given time, and you're going to be flying at 35,000 feet, you would have thought, first of all, I wonder what mushrooms Ezekiel got into. But you're also going to say, man, that's a miracle, right? And yet we complain about it. But we'll see what happens after the pandemic in terms of that. But I do want to talk about what does that have to do with peace and joy and air travel and pandemic. A lot of times we get on a plane so we can go a long ways away to put ourselves in a completely different context in a very short period of time. Sometimes seeking joy and peace is about getting yourself in a new context, in a new place, as quickly as possible, or, as wholly as possible. And that's what air travel tends to be. And so I think give yourself permission to fly. Sometimes give your brain permission to fly, right? Say, okay, I'm going to fly from this attitude of pessimism to an attitude of optimism, right? I might not stay in there, but I'm gonna take this flight, right? I'm gonna get on the plane and see what's out there in another place, right? May not stay there, but at least let me land there and take a look around, right? An attitude of I need control to I need to relax and experience and be aware of change instead of I need to control. Let's take a flight to I need to adapt versus I need to control. Let's take a flight to I need to learn versus I need to tell people I'm right. Let's take some trips like that in planes that go 550 miles per hour away from where my current place is and land in a place that's new and place where I can look around and see things I haven't seen before. Let's do some air travel, even if it's mental, right? Let's do some air travel. If it's emotional, let's do some air travel. If it's physical, when things open up again, let's let our heart and mind open up so that when that door opens up on the plane, we're willing to step on. And by the way, that plane is right there, taxiing down the runway all the time in terms of attitude, emotion, and learning. It's on the runway, right? It's building up speed all of the time. All we have to do is fly away, and let's try to do that. Okay, that's enough for flying away and the toilet paper monologue with regard to air travel in the current pandemic. Soon we'll be able to go to our local airport and hop on these big metal tubes and get across the sky.